What is the most bullshit reason for a teacher to give you a bad grade? Wrote in Chicago format and lost points. The assignment instructions said to write in Chicago format. Edit. To anyone curious, I did try and point this out. Basically still lost points, but they upped the final grade. AskReddit. Lot of questions on Chicago. Here's a brief overview. https://owl.pdu/al/research_and_manual_17th/chicago_edition/cmos_formatting_and_style_format.html. It's common in social studies/history courses in my experience. Basically, when thinking Chicago, think oh, the footnote one. Because he didn't read my paper. It was a university class where Atar was responsible for grading the papers. He was clearly overwhelmed and just reading introductions and grading based on them alone. I had a 2-part introduction that fully addressed the prompt, but as he only read the first part, one got my paper back with a big C at the top. I ended up getting full credit after I challenged the initial grade. I was taking a 1-week online class in the syllabus. The teacher said you must post 6 times throughout the week. So, I posted 6x on Monday, 1x on Wednesday, and felt I was good to go. I get my grade/teacher comments and the teacher wrote *KAYAN0905. You had some good posts early in the week, but then you stopped posting, so in order to mark you DOWN*. I was annoyed by this, but then realized it was the last online course in the program and frankly I didn't care. I still graduated, and that certificate is proudly sitting in my junk drawer for all to see. A friend of mine got a -1 for scratching his head. Our teacher said he was faking it. Staples were not in the right spot for my essay, even though I had them in the top left corner like always. I didn't like a movie that was supposed to be her favorite. She would do stuff like this all the time to other students as well. Complaints were made, but I graduated before I saw where it led. My friend failed French because she had a French accent. And the teacher couldn't understand her French because she was American. My friend had spoke French since she was 4. My 7th grade gym teacher gave me a D because I hardly ever smiled. My life sucked at that time. Got points off because of the bad grammar in the quote I used. The quote was I'm become death, destroyer of worlds. In the 90s my family didn't have a computer and I had no access to one. I spent a lot of time on a handwritten assignment for school and the teacher gave me a B. Writing as a comment, I would have given you an A if you had typed it up on a computer. I'm still bitter. My teacher lost my coursework on the bus home. I refused to redo a year's worth of work in 3 weeks, and I got taken from an A to a C. Bullshit. School sided with him. She gave me a 0 because she didn't think I read the book. She said I would have gotten a 75% if she thought I redid 75% of the test questions right. Supposedly means I didn't actually do the reading. Still one of those things that pisses me off even 10 years later. I did a presentation in biology. The teacher told me she wanted me to do a creative introduction instead of just opening it with the standard "today I'll be presenting." So I did. I invented a short story about an old lady going to the supermarket and worked in some early symptoms of Alzheimer's, the topic I was presenting. I was so invested in that character. She had a name and a backstory. I even drew up a few comic panels so that everyone could follow along easily. Then at the end of my presentation I asked my class which symptoms the old lady in the story had, and hence what stage her Alzheimer's was. I get my grade back, and the teacher deducted points for the intro, since she told me to do a creative intro, so it wasn't an original idea. Like what the hell? I came up with the story, I drew the comic panels, all of that was me. I felt so betrayed. If I hadn't done a creative intro she would have deducted points, so I did one, and she deducted points anyway. And after all that work, still grinds my gears. I was 15 at the time. 4th grade, the day before Thanksgiving break. There was no work to be done of course, so we had a busy work art assignment. we were all handed graph paper and told to color each of the squares either yellow, orange, red, or brown. And once we finished, we were supposed to cut out corn shapes to make Indian corn decorations. I already thought this WAA stupid, and filling an asterisk ALL asterisk the squares was tedious. So I traced the corn shape on the graph paper and only filled in the squares that would end up as part of the final product. This meant my decorations looked the same as all the others, but I didn't waste time filling in squares that would just get cut away. When the teacher saw what I had done, she gave me a 50 for skipping work. I was accused of plagiarism because I had an above average vocabulary. I got a grade in the end, but I was ticked. It was a group project where nobody did anything. I had to do the whole thing and turn it into a teacher who usually works with the special needs kids. She didn't think preemptive strike was a term an 8th grader should know, so obviously it was plagiarized. A spelling test, not graded by the teacher, but by the kid next to us. Kid named Anthony decided all my words that had letters U and E were switched and marked pretty much every word wrong. They weren't. Like, this was probably in 3rd grade, so my handwriting was chicken scratch, but that was really stupid. To me, I was upset, since it was the first time I failed something in school. Me, Miss 30th, you didn't give me a point for this, but it is on the mark scheme. Miss 30th, I don't agree with the mark scheme, so I didn't give you the mark. For context, this is a standardized test, which is why there is a mark scheme. Edit, this is a practice test. We used past papers and hence past mark schemes. Sorry for the confusion. When I was 16, in the middle of doing my GCSEs, my dad got into a serious car accident. He was in intensive care for about 2 months. During that time, we were told that he would probably not survive. Thankfully, he pulled through. But in the meantime, I hadn't been doing any coursework or going to school. This happened in January, my exams were in May/June. I managed to do enough revision to pass my exams. But I never managed to finish my coursework for art class. The quality of my work was worth an A, but I hadn't done enough of it. I applied for mitigating circumstances, meaning that if granted, my work could have been marked on quality rather than quantity. But for whatever reason, the school refused, so I ended up getting a bad grade. That was 10 years ago, and I'm still angry about it. I got 10/10ths on a test, but my teacher took points away from me because she didn't want my classmates to be jealous of my grade. This was English class in a Dutch school, so English is a requirement. I was the only native English speaker in my class, and this was a course for adults only. I broke my right arm in 3rd grade. I write with my right hand. The teacher gave me a bad grade because my handwriting with my left hand was barely legible. In high school, I used the word lascivious to describe a character in a book, and my teacher didn't know what the word meant. So logically, he took off a point. I got a F the first semester in chemistry, and I was really pushing myself to get a better grade for the next semester. Needed a good grade to study what I wanted. Then we heard that another teacher from another school would make the test, but the teachers in our classes would grade it. So I have been doing all in my power, read everything, written summaries, did the math, watched documentaries etc. And I get the final grade, D, and I was very happy with that. Then my teacher takes me aside and tells me that I actually got a way better grade, C, could pass as a B, but if he gave me a C it would look bad for him, since I got a F on his test the semester before. So I was pretty pissed after that, but he left before I could say anything. It was my last day of school as well. I failed a lit exam in college because I answered a question too well. We were supposed to write an essay comparing and contrasting one of the books that we read that semester to a modern concept or ideal. We had known about this particular question for weeks, so we had had plenty of time to prepare. Apparently it's possible to be too correct, because the response I got was that, though it is clear I did not plagiarize, none of my thoughts were original, and matched too closely with the author's interpretation of the work. I was the only person in the class to not only fail, but to get less than a B. I got no other bad marks on the rest of the exam either, He failed me, based on just that one part. This would be an A paper from some other students, but you can do better. I got a C, and no other feedback on how to improve. Edit. Thanks for the gold, and for all the comments. It seems I'm not alone in this one. Didn't happen to me, but a teacher kinda gave everyone in a class bad grades, because they ditched her. They all planned to hang out after the last class. Guess she was better about it. I had a bitchy religion professor back in junior high school. She lowered the grade of another student because they had written in the exam that when Moses got the 10 commandments there was lightning, when the correct answer was thunderbolts. Not a bad grade, but I remember I was so close to being the first person to ever score a 100% on my 10th grade Spanish final. The one question I got wrong was, ¿Qué tipo de comida es el pescado? What type of food is fish? A. El carne, meat. B. La fruta, fruit. C. El pan, bread. D. La verdura, vegetable. I of course picked meat, and got it wrong, because my teacher insisted that fish isn't meat. She's a Catholic, and eats fish on Fridays during Lent. According to her the correct answer is fruit, because fish are sometimes known as the fruit of the sea. What the actual fuck? Cram your 99%, Sinora. Essay topic was Henry V a hero? I argued he wasn't, because crazy risks involved. You're not allowed to make that argument. F.